Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump is to his bones a racist. His administration is above all else pursuing an explicitly racist agenda. None of this is news, unfortunately, but every so often the President of the United States does something so grotesque, so egregiously offensive, that we have no choice but to view it in the larger context of his persistent bigotry. So, last night, around midnight, Trump's social media account posted and then reposted a truly deranged video pushing 2020 election conspiracies, which he's obsessed with, that also depicted the first black president and the first black first lady of this country, Barack and Michelle Obama, as apes. The Obama family has thus far not responded to the video, but House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries has.
This disgusting video posted by the so-called president was done intentionally. Donald Trump and his vile, racist, and malignant behavior. This guy is an unhinged bottom feeder. President Obama and Michelle Obama are brilliant, caring, and patriotic Americans. They represent the best of this country. It's time for John Thune, Mike Johnson, and Republicans to denounce this serial fraudster who's sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue pretending to be the President of the United States.
Americans of all stripes were as disgusted and offended as Leader Jeffries, but the White House's first response was to pretend they didn't know why. In a statement, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called it a, quote, fake outrage. But as they so often do, I think the White House misread the room here. Maybe not everyone is as racist as we are. People were genuinely upset by the President of the United States in 2026 promoting this kind of just like abhorrent gutter racism, right? And the outrage was real and it was bipartisan. Republican members of Congress, including Representative Mike Lawler of New York and Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi, condemned the post, as did Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, a staunch Trump ally, the only black Republican serving in that chamber, who posted that it was the most racist thing he'd seen out of the White House, leaving many to ask the question, what was the second most racist thing, Senator? And so Trump did an about face. The video was quietly deleted. The White House blamed an anonymous staffer. It's an excuse they've used in the past, and you can determine for yourself if you believe it. But if it's true, I think we deserve to know why a staffer is posting as President of the United States in the middle of the night. That's kind of weird. I think it's clear that the outcry from his fellow Republicans is what moved the needle here. And while it is notable, one also has to wonder why this instance of rank bigotry crossed the line. Donald Trump is proudly publicly racist all the time, seemingly every week. He goes on some disgusting tirade about, for instance, the black residents of Minneapolis. He spent a good chunk of his presidential campaign lying about Haitian migrants eating. His administration, using all the powers of the state, is pursuing an explicitly racist agenda to rewrite the history of anti-black racism in this country and to force black people out of elite institutions, both public and private. It is a whole of government approach, all the way back to the earliest days of this administration. Do you remember this? I think we've all lost it because, the news cycle goes past. Do you remember they spent weeks blaming a horrific, deadly plane crash, an absolute tragedy, dozens of people dead, on DEI, right? Remember that? The implication being that if the pilot were anyone other than a white man, well, then that's your cause right there. They're inherently unqualified.
I looked at the first part, and it was really about voter fraud and the machines, how crooked it is, how disgusting it is. Then I gave it to the people. Generally, they look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody did.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake.
Okay, well, he did eventually remove the post. It had been up for nearly 12 hours, but he did remove it. And I want to warn before we show it to you that it is racist and offensive, but it's important to show because this was posted on the official account of the President of the United States, right? This is what was posted there. You can see here the faces of the Obamas put onto bodies of apes, and his decision to take the post down came after the White House initially doubled down on the post itself. The press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, saying, quote, "This is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and the Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public." Well, that was said, but then the backlash got loud. Republican Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the Senate, came out calling it the most racist thing out of this White House. Ted Herndon and Andrew Yang are out front now. Pretty incredible, Ested, on a lot of levels. But it takes them 12 hours to take this down. Yeah. At first they say, owning exactly what it was, not trying to say it was about voting machines, and I didn't see the part about the apes. They actually owned the whole part about the apes. And then still took it down. Yeah, the initial response was to defend it, as it always is with the Trump White House. And then after the blowback started, we have seen these kind of further retractions. I mean, when I saw this morning, it is both shocking and not shocking at the same time, right? Like at one, you have the reality of the president of the United States engaging in offensive racist behavior, but you also have a president who has had his whole political rise tied to those very same things. I mean, the origin story of Donald Trump is a racist conspiracy about Barack Obama. So, I mean, we cannot extract Donald Trump from the trail of racism that he has left or encouraged. But I think this reflects a White House that is increasingly at a credibility loss, too. They are putting their officials out there, Caroline Leavitt included, and whether it's Minneapolis or whether it's Trump's health or whether it's this video, they're increasingly asking the public to not believe what's in front of them. And I think that has contributed to Donald Trump's increasing unpopularity with the electorate. So, Andrew, the White House obviously now trying to blame it on a White House staffer. Okay, which, I mean, there's so much irony in that. You could take the Rob Reiner post. You could take so many posts that they actually haven't even tried to blame on a staffer, right? That he goes ahead and posts his own stuff that I don't know anybody thought was okay. In this case, Trump allies are calling to fire the staffer. Bill O'Reilly said you got to fire the staffer right away. Pastor Mark Burns, after speaking with Trump, says my recommendation to the president was direct and firm. The staffer should be fired immediately. And the president should publicly condemn this action, which he didn't do, right? He said he didn't make a mistake. But a source familiar with Trump's social media, as I said with Rob Reiner, he posts on Truth Social all the time by himself. He posts in the middle of the night by himself, right? So suddenly in this case, this one somehow upset enough people that he's going to put the fig leaf up?
Yeah, the backlash was truly bipartisan, which is something of a rarity in today's politics. I agree with Ested. Aside from how vile and disgusting the video was, the first thing that came to mind for me was distraction, because the actions of ICE in Minneapolis, wildly unpopular, even with many people who voted for Donald Trump. This week, a job report came out saying that it was the worst January for people looking for jobs since 2009. It's 17 years. I mean, to go back. Yeah, and so I thought to myself, okay, this is Trump throwing something out there to change the news cycle. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think there has been speculation that he has done that before. We know that that's his instinct, is to get it back on his terms. I just think even as they lurch at some of their more familiar topics, be it social stuff or driving what they used to call wokeness or fighting against that. Yeah. This isn't that. This is way beyond that. A very, very bad. And so I'm saying even as they try to draw Democrats into culture wars, I think they have miscalculated the moments in which Donald Trump goes way beyond that. The Rob Reiner post is one of that. I think this post is another. Yeah, worse. I mean, the Rob Reiner post didn't get this much from Republican senators, and you had administration allies coming out and saying, fire this guy, apologize immediately.
Joining me now is Harvard University professor and former NAACP president Cornell William Brooks. Professor, the president is saying in furtherance of a lie about voter fraud in Georgia, of which there was not, which is just something he endlessly repeats like a guy in a bar late at night. He posted or approved the posting of this meme. What do you make of his explanation and how the White House has kind of come up with various explanations throughout the day?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. What I make of the president's explanation is that it is neither an explanation nor an excuse. We have seen from this White House shifting narratives, the president taking responsibility for posting that which the White House denied and that is subsequently attributed to a young staffer. So in other words, we have shifting narratives, apparent lies, and the president not taking responsibility for his actions and the consequences of it. Anderson, we need to really be clear here. The president was drawing from a deep...
One thing I've noted is that Obama just trapped Trump with a brilliant move. And it's called giving the man a rope, letting him do it itself. Obama could, and rightfully so, come out incredibly outraged, using this as a moment to attack Trump. And he'd be valid in doing so, 100%. But he also understands that right now, Trump is always going to hang himself. You give, the saying, you give with someone like Trump, you give him a rope and he'll hang himself. You don't even need to do it. And Trump posting that video was part of it, but then him doubling and tripling down. Republicans are aghast. And as Andrew Yang noted there, this is generating more backlash than the Rob Reiner stuff. And the Rob Reiner stuff generated some backlash from a lot of Trump allies. Remember, it was people in his administration were aghast. And then you had a lot of right-wing Hollywood celebrities that have backed Trump, like James Woods, for example, who's been a very prominent Trump supporter, just was very disappointed in Trump and couldn't say enough nice things about Rob Reiner and how he was so talented and did so much for his career. You could see it really divided people. And guys, this is worse. This is coming up. People are saying this is worse than the Rob Reiner. Do you remember the Rob Reiner stuff when he was tragically killed? And then Trump sought to make it a joke and say that he deserved it in a sense because he was bothering people with his rants about Trump. Obama has made it clear that he doesn't need to say anything. That the media can now come out, and could for a long time come out and say, Donald Trump at his core is a racist. There's no qualifications there. There's no, he says things that are racist, but maybe is he in his heart one? We don't have to deal with that BS, teeter-tottling right now. The president is a racist. And Obama knows that we know that.